Hi, everybody. Oops. Okay. Everybody's muted, so you don't have to worry about muting yourself. You should be able to hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. I'm going to share the screen larger for you. Wait, what just happened? Okay, so I think you can all see my screen large. I don't know what just happened to my screen. That keeps happening. I don't know. Zoom is being different than it's ever been before. So just trying to do my best. I don't know why the link didn't work. Most of you, obviously, you're on here because you know to copy and paste the link or something. So I don't know these things until it happens. So just, be patient. Okay, so let's see. All right, breakout rooms. Okay, so let's start with, I kind of lost all the stuff I just had open to get ready, but that's okay because I had to close my Zoom. So if you have any questions, feel free to chat into the chat box. Let me see. Hi, everyone. Can you see the screen largely? Okay, so Arturo Rivera, this is just a little, thank you. This is just a little show and tell I thought I'd do because I have some books around that I've been looking at. So he's a living artist in Mexico. Here's a picture of him, kind of a creepy looking guy if you ask me, but he is a very interesting painter. There's sort of a group of artists called magical realism. Maybe you've heard of someone like Marianela de Laos. Let's see if I can tune that. Give me a second. Okay, so I need those lines to go away. All right, so this is Arturo Rivera's work. Just some really beautiful figurative work I thought I'd share with you today because I think that, there's a lot of ways to make figure paintings. He uses paper, he paints on wood. They're very much about drawing. They're also, so magical realism is very much like surrealism, but some people don't like to be called surrealists because everybody thinks of Salvador Dali when they think of surrealism, and that's not, necessarily the box that it should fit in, but it is. I mean, he created it. So this is magical realism. I guess the difference is, there's a lot of realism, more realism, very realistic figures, very anatomical figures happening in these, but also fantastical situations and weird things that don't necessarily go together going together. So they're kind of gross in a way, but they're also kind of beautiful in a way, thinking about it's opposite. The screen is opposite, so everything I do, I try to do it right, but then I'm doing it backwards. So it takes me a minute. So a Mexican artist, Arturo Rivera, Arturo Rivera, Rivera. So I really love his work. I think it's I had a stint with dead birds for a while, which is when I think I found him in Mexico. I was living in Guanajuato and I was grieving, and then I was in a market and I found this little book, and I just really loved his work because it is very much about It is very alive and at the same time dealing with like, I don't know, they feel a bit nightmarish to me, but I really enjoy them. Also, look up Marianela de Laos. I will spell that out for you. It's not a short name. Very intense work. There's another guy, and his work reminds me a lot of this work, who I had found in a magazine. I can't think of his name right now, but I have all of his cutouts out of a magazine. Um, Skulls, walls. I love the tile in these pieces. Um, Look at the surgical guy here. Wow, like these are, and this is a portrait of him, and you can see that he turns into bones down here, so you can sort of see like skeletal figures coming through. Just really beautiful, beautiful drawing skill, the lights and darks, the painting quality. Anyway, so I just thought I'd introduce you. This is one of my favorite ones. Thought I'd introduce you to somebody new today. All right, that's enough. You can, I have no idea where you could find this book, but look him up. I think I've tried to look him up online and he doesn't come up online, but we can look inside the book and see if we can find some more information. So El Ojo del Fuego, the eye of the fire, del Fulgar, the fire person. And the painters are Arturo Rivera. So, okay, that's that. Now we're gonna go to my bookmarks quickly. Go to Life Drawing. I had this open, but I had to restart my whole Zoom. Okay, so last week we did structure. So if you go to modules and then you go to structure, you have the structure video from last week, and then this week we're going to watch the bean. I know a lot of you have watched it many times.
There are 3 major matters.
But we're going to, having me do it with you next, I think is a really great experience. Okay.
This is connected by the spine, the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis.
Sorry.
Today we're going to take a look at the 2 that make up the torso.
Sorry. Oh, I guess it is on that. All right.
And the way they move. Hey guys, you're watching Proco. So, what is the bean? Well, the torso could initially be thought of as a bean. No, not that bean. No, not that one either. That's the same bean. This one. This is the one I'm talking about. We have 2 forms, one for the rib cage and another for the hips. You can even just imagine a sock with 2 balls in it. Whatever analogy you want to use. Basically, we have 2 hard forms with a softer skin around them. The balls can twist, tilt, and turn. The cloth of the sock will stretch, pinch, or twist accordingly, which represents the way the skin would react to the same motion on a human body. To be more specific about what these ovals actually represent, here's how I think of it. The rib cage isn't a perfect oval. The curve stops at around the 10th rib and then swings back up to the sternum. But to simplify it, I'll continue the curves of the sides and use an oval. The oval of the hips actually includes the area above the hips. It continues up the oblique and meets the top oval at the thin part of the waist. As a result, the 2 ovals will overlap. Why practice the bean? The concept I'll be talking about today is a very simplified approach. It obviously doesn't get you a realistic figure drawing, but it's the concepts behind it that we're learning. Then once we understand those concepts, we can apply them to a realistic, more complex approach. Sometimes what I have my students do in my figure drawing classes is a 20-minute session of 30-second poses just doing the beans. I tell them they're not drawing a person. Don't think of this as a figure drawing. Instead, it's an analogy for the body. These are little notes that you could use later on in a longer figure drawing. It's the form of the torso represented in the simplest way. The reason we do this is to eliminate all details and not get distracted by contours or smaller forms. We do it to isolate what's important in capturing the motion and mass of the torso. How to practice the bean. Take poses and draw the equivalent bean at its extreme. Take note of that last part. You're drawing an extreme version of the pose. So if there's a subtle twist, make that twist even twistier. A lean to the right, lean it further. The process of exaggerating these elements creates a habit of actually observing each element. The things we look for to identify the bean are tilt side to side, lean forward and backward, twisting of the spine, and foreshortening. Let's start with a tilt from side to side. When there's a tilt or curvature of the spine towards one side, there will always be a compressed side and a stretched side. As these points move closer to each other, everything between them bunches up. You'll see wrinkles going across the torso. On the other side, these points move further away from each other, stretching everything between them. I'll always try to emphasize the stretching here and play down any kind of muscular bumps that would take away from the stretching effect. Here's a pose with a subtle tilt. Find the angle of the ribcage, angle of the hips, considering also the position relative to the ribcage. It's a common mistake to always put the two forms one on top of the other. Observe the angle from the top of the ribcage to the bottom of the hips. Adding an action line will also help to identify this relationship. A center line will emphasize the C-curve of this pose and show that it's slightly facing towards the left, since the center is closer to the left edge of the form. The second action is leaning forward or backward. It has pretty much the same effect of a tilt. The side where the points are compressing will get the pinch, and the opposite side will get the stretch. The only difference is that now the center line is on the stretching or pinching side. If the person leans towards us, there will be a crease on the front plane. And the center line itself also has a pinch. This sharp corner creates the tension in the front plane. On the back, show the stretching gesture line. When the person leans back away from us, it's a bit trickier to indicate with a bean. This looks too similar to a tilt. It's hard to show this because the pinch is back there. It's hidden from us. The only way to show that the forms are going away from us is with some cross contour lines, which indicate foreshortening, similar to these cylinders. Twisting the spine. All right, the twist. I love doing the twist. During a twisting motion, the skin will be pulled from one side of the form to the other. Let's look at what happens to this towel when I twist it. The string represents the center line. At the top, the plane twists this way, and at the bottom, the other way. On this side, the lines will overlap from the top. On the other side, they overlap from the bottom. Things are being pulled across the form to these corners. Sometimes it's confusing to figure out which side will overlap, which one's going to be in front and which one's behind. Basically, the two corners that are closer to us will have the lines that overlap the corners further from us. Makes sense because objects that are closer to us are in front of objects further from us. It's basic perspective. The center line is now an S shape rather than a C during a tilt or lean. So let's take a look at two angles of the twist with the bean. In this pose, we're looking at a twisting torso from the side. This means we see the center line of the front plane at the top and the center line of the back at the bottom. There's a transition from one to the other. As the front plane gets thinner and the center line starts to wrap behind, on the other side, the spine starts to come out from behind and twisting towards us. So only a portion of the center line is visible on each side. When looking at a twist from the front or back, you only see one of the planes, but it's being twisted. In this pose, the pit of the neck is closer to the left side of her body, and the pubic bone is turning towards the right side. Foreshortening. When a figure is extremely foreshortened, you'll observe two things. The first is a change of the oval shapes that indicate the rib cage and hips. We're no longer seeing the full length, so the ovals will be shorter. The second change is the position relationship between these ovals. One will overlap the other and sometimes cover up most of it. This shows that the rib cage is directly in front of the hips, so the torso is pointing directly towards us. In this pose, she's leaning towards us, creating a lot of foreshortening. I'll make sure to keep the oval more circular and open north and south poles of these forms. This helps me imagine how to wrap the center line over the top plane. I also see a twist since the belly button is pointing to the left. What's next? After establishing the bean, attaching the head and limbs is much easier. The action of the torso is the most difficult and most important to capture the body in motion. I'll talk a lot more about this part in the mannequinization video in a few weeks. Assignments. This week, practice drawing the bean.
All right. New share. Okay. Hold on. Momentarily. Oh, there. Okay, so new share. There it is. All right. Okay, so now let's take a look at how we put that into action. We have some Loomis drawings here. Love Loomis. So you can look at those as a reference and we'll go over them together and do them together. So first thing you need is a gesture line, or you can do that second. It's up to you. And then you need two circles, right? You need one for the hips. That's this one, and one for the chest. Ooh, that's backwards for you guys. Sorry. Okay, I just realized that. All right, so, well, I'm saying it. It's just, that's the way a document camera works, and you can't flip it, but that's the way it is. Okay, so let's take a look at this top torso here. What we have is just a perfectly stacked bean, right? We have our straight up and down circles. So you can tell that because her back is just a straight line. So the back is a good explanation of those beans. So go ahead and do that with me. So this one is just going to be the main line, which you can see is the spine. And then we're going to have a large two circles, which, you know, they're going to touch more if she's folding over. So let's see what that looks like here. On the next one, we still have a pretty straight line up and down of the hip circle and the chest circle. It's just a little bit more foreshortened. So this one's even similar. It's going to have a light curve to it, and then I would say the circle is going to get smaller at the bottom because there's so much foreshortening. And then the other circle, the hip circle, is going to go kind of right over it. It's going to overlap a little more. Then if we added the legs to that in our circles, just to give you an example, that hip circle, the back of the bottom right here is going to come right over that other hip circle. And then the other leg will be back here. And the head will be up here, and the arms will be here. Okay, so let's do another one. These are all pretty forward. What else I got here? I love his drawings. Aren't they great? Look at the tone. Look at the tone! Okay, let's just do this one long term for a few minutes. So if we exaggerate that, I feel like we've done the bean before. We know this. So if we look at the gestural line of the figure, she's tipping back a little bit, and then her legs are tipping up and then down. So we've got the V. So you can still start with your gesture and then do your bean on top of it. So I'm going to have my hip bean. Let me straighten that out. my hips and my chest. And her chest is sort of, you can see some of the front of it if we bring in what we started talking about last week. We started talking about then bringing in some of those larger ovals of the leg shape. So we want to work large to small, which is why the first step is always the bean or the gestural line of the form, either way. But this is the biggest shape, is the chest and the hips. Then we break it down into the legs and heads and arms and feet, and then we break it down into face shapes, and then we break it down into eyelashes. So that's why, you know, when I say no eyelashes, it's not just, you know, to be funny. It's actually because it just makes sense to go larger to smaller. Because if I start here with my eyelashes, but then the head needs to move a foot this way, or, you know, an inch, not a foot. Okay, so now when I start, I've started to break this down into smaller and smaller shapes, and I'm looking for longer ovals that can be the arms. And I'm look how many marks I've put down. Like, really just feel it out. Don't even look at your drawing. I want you to look at this. Look here while you're circling this. Even it helps to, you know, put your hand on it to do that. This is also, it kind of builds up the tone for you in a way, which can be pretty exciting, I think, as long as you know where your important lines are. But they sort of start to emerge this way. So even, you know, the hands can become little rectangles now. We can start defining the knee shapes amongst the other knee shapes, breaking down the calf and the thigh. And if you do get lost, it's okay to take your eraser. And one thing to consider when you're erasing out some of the middle is to erase out some of the middle where the highlight would be anyway, which you can very clearly see in this tonal drawing. So like over here in the arm, maybe I won't go super white because I know I'm just going to darken that up anyway. But if that confuses you, just ignore that. You can, to me, it helps to do some of the, leave some of the lighter shapes, because I think I see in blocks of tone. I think that's just how I like understand how I see best. So, okay, so we've got this figure here. Now we're going to learn about landmarks in a little bit, but you also want to just think about the angles of things, you know, the overall angle of her back. And this is when having a drawing in front of you and not having a human in front of you is great, because you can literally just put your pencil up to it. But you can also hold your pencil up to the model in front of you and do the same thing. Now, I always talk about horizon lines, and I think it's a good time to get some definition of where that'll help me find where that foot goes, and that already tells me I need to move that foot up a little bit, both of the feet up a little bit, by putting in that horizon line. That really helped me out. So the process of a figure drawing is you figuring out a recipe that works for you. So I want you to, you know, in these notebook days that we get to do together, write down the ones that you like. Well, write them all down, but also maybe put a star next to the ones you like the most, or you'll just probably start using it. And it's not always just one of these that you want to use. It's multiple of them. So this angle's looking wrong, so I'm going to hold that up. Yeah. This leg needs to move over here a little bit. And I can also know that because I'm going to just take a quick look at this negative shape here. Speaking of changing it up, so we did the bean, but now I'm just using the methods that I use in a drawing to create my drawing. Eventually, the lesson only goes so far. You know, the bean is the beginning of the structure, but then we start using other things that we've been using to get the drawing done. So negative shape there really helped me figure out where this leg goes. Sometimes erasing next to the lights and darks really helps as well. sort of cleaning it up a little bit. Not just erasing the inside, sometimes it's erasing the outside to clarify the figure. So instead I'm erasing more around the shoulder. Then we can really start thinking about these shapes around the neck. Here's another negative shape going around the neck, or rather down the neck, around the top of the shoulder, and then, man, I'm not talking to people as much, and it's like trying to use my words is, well, I've never been that great with words. Let's be honest. Okay, so I'm looking at the line. I was looking at this line, but I'm also looking at this. Oh, that's such a beautiful flower pattern behind her. I just thought that was sort of like lights and darks, but now I think it's more of a flower curtain. Okay, so I'm just quickly, and again, look at how I'm holding my pencil. It's not a Jedi grip here. It's a nice loose, I don't know, what am I doing? I think I like to guide it with these two fingers and have light pressure. This is a 4 pencil. I'm doing mine a little darker because I want you to be able to see it, but you should always start with a little bit lighter pencil. Okay, so this helps me see this negative shape here, and then I can decide if I want to bring out this shoulder a little bit more. Like that. Okay, what else? Let's take a look at this shape in here. So the arm would have to be in the right place for that to work. So it looks like the arm's doing pretty good. The thigh looks a little bit wide. I'm going to bring that in just a bit. Then I can start to see the waist come in, and then just a little bit of the chest there, and I can fill in that negative shape to see if that negative shape matches this negative shape, which it's a little small. It's a little bit small, but I think, what does that have to do with no, there we go. Okay, now, oh, that's what it is. It's that this arm is not in the right place. The arm actually does need to move up just slightly. So how about that? There we go. Okay, and then up, and the reason I knew that this arm needed to move up a little bit was, one, because this shape is larger, but also when I started to look at this other arm, I realized there wasn't space in between here, so it made sense that this this arm had to move up a little bit, and then this one here has to move down a little bit. So I think I need to widen the shoulder. There's sort of a big shoulder shape here, and then, so when I have to go back to loose, I do. I backed up a few steps, and I went back to my large circles, and I went back to just this loose work to figure out, does this shape fit correctly? Like, does this chest, would it work here if it was there, and if this one was here? So you can draw right over your arm to figure that out, because you can just as easily go back in and take it right back out. And that way I know, by feeling it out again, by finding the gesture again, that I've one, moved things around, kept it loose, but also, yeah, not closing in on anything, not locking anything in, being willing to back up and really change it when you need to change it. These are also like just amazing life lessons I figured out in art. It really goes for everything. Like, you really just have to be willing to fail and willing to mess up and willing then to move things around and adjust and change to the setting and the situation. And life is a lot like that too, as we've just just figured out, but being able to adjust to that and back yourself up and really, go back into a looser state rather than just getting tighter and tighter and tighter every round. That's what pencil is for. You can't do that in watercolor, but you can do it in pencil and charcoal. So that's why these mediums are really beautiful. Also, just to understand tone. So tonally, I'm not thinking really about tone right now. I'm just using these darks as a negative shape around the figure to find the figure, because the shape around her is just as important as she is. And so just working my way around the entire figure now with my darks to make sure that these things are correct. Oh, look at that. Okay, so the hand and the should meet the leg right here, but something's not right because the legs are not lining up. So let's see, the thigh needs to come up a little, and then I think there's just maybe a little bit more movement, negative space here, and then maybe this leg moves over slightly too. Yeah, there's a little bit more diagonal under here. Oh, there's a little bit more thigh coming this way, and then the leg goes this way. That's what it is. Okay. Little tricks here. And then this leg needs to move over because now this negative shape is not right. Well, so now how many times have I moved this leg? Like 20? I was gonna start with the life drawing, and then I got into this, but I think that's okay. I kind of like being able to go really slowly with you guys on how I build a drawing. It's actually quite nice, I think, because when I'm in person doing my demos, I tend to get nervous and move quickly because I want to give you the model time, and I definitely don't want to waste the model time. So I try really hard to be quick, but that's not always correct, because the truth is the lesson that I'm teaching here is that this is slow, right? This has been a slow process to get us where we are right now. Okay. So now I think we're looking pretty good. How's yours looking, everybody? Let's see, I don't think I can see anybody. Nobody's got their, nobody's got their, oh, there's one. There's a couple. Oh, good. Natalka, Heather, looking great. See, those darks around really help you see it. There's Benedict. Oh yeah, that looks great. Yeah. Look at that negative shape. See, this is tricky right here, and I'm still tricked by it because now my shape is too big. It's really nice actually to look in the reflection of the computer because I can see, let me move that over just a little bit. Because I can see it sort of like zoomed out for me, so it's really easy to see the mistakes. So this is very tricky over here, and it's also cutting off the page. So you decide how long you want to agonize over these things. Okay, now I rarely do faces, but let's do this. I mean, I do when I have time, but in my demos, I don't usually have time. Okay, so first things first, she's got a straight face. It's mostly a straight view with a little bit of, with shadow on this side. So I'm keeping it really loose again as I just sort of draw my way around the shape of the hair. I'm not worrying about tone. I'm just trying to find the those sort of curl shapes that break up in the overall shape. Now, in my oval, if you're trying to figure out where the heck that hair shape goes, you might want to first draw a middle line and a middle line, because this will be the eyebrows. This will be the bottom of the nose. This will be the, well, that, okay, wait, that can't, no, this will be the eyes, sorry. The eyes will be here, the eyebrows will be up here, the forehead will be up here. So 1, 2, bottom of the nose, 3, bottom of the chin. Okay, then we have mouth, but this isn't really the way I draw. When I do faces, I don't usually just divide it up like that, because I just kind of know where things go. But that does help you find where the top of the forehead goes, because then you can find the distance of the top of the hair from there. Because if you have your forehead wrong, so at least in the oval that you draw, you need to have a middle section and then divide the middle section. Okay, then that middle section is the eyes. And then you divide the forehead, darn it, I keep messing up, I'm sorry. The top of the eyebrows, forehead to the top of the eyebrows. Eyebrows to the bottom of the nose. Bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. So those 3 sections are equal. And then that'll help me find the middle of the mouth, and then the middle of the nose and the eyebrows is where the eyes are. Woo! Okay, so now that I've made a big old mess of that face, goodness, poor lady, take that right out. But again, you know, it's very movable, it's very flexible. So now I know where the bottom of my chin is gonna be. And it really does help to this great tonal shape here that goes under the neck. You can just draw that beautiful shape. Just find that shadow shape. And that shadow shape's also going to tell you if your arm's in the right place. Because if you don't have enough room, then you might have to make a little adjustment there. So the way I'm dealing with the face is to find everything around the face first. Finding that nice cheek shadow shape that she has. And then we had our hair shape. I think her hair comes down here. It's hard to see what's going on. It's like a ponytail bit here. Okay. Still not worrying about the highlights yet. I'll get there. I want to get this outline of her crisp cheekbones. So knowing where the cheekbones are is very helpful to know where the eyes are. Yeah, so working our way around the forehead, making sure there's a little bit of an arch in the forehead. Then a little bit of a dip inward where the eye socket will go. You know, you can imagine there will be 2 big sockets right there. And then she has a cheekbone, and then you can find, oh wow, the length of her neck. Whoopsie. I guess I lost my neck. So I'm going to put that neck back in. See if I can find that again. So the whole way, even though I'm perfecting it, I'm also just leaving this blank for now for you to see how much I just had to move that arm, that shoulder down. And now I'm going to move, that moves this shoulder down. It doesn't move the shoulder, but it just starts, the line starts a little further over, and so does this line. And that's feeling a little better there. We need to fix that. Chest as well. Also follow down the beautiful shape going down the stomach. That'll help you find the belly button, and it'll help you have a little shadow tone coming in there. I always find myself bouncing around. It's good to bounce around. I'm going to do this shape under here, under the thigh as well, because I like to see at least 2 tones I'm like out of pencils, guys. I'm gonna have to order pencils. I'm gonna have to order watercolor paper. I am out of all my stuff. We're gonna do, well, I'm not gonna say, but we're having a fun week, so tune in to the other classes. So now I'm just finding these beautiful shapes that he's already laid out for me. It's so nice to have those shapes laid out. Where do I order from? Well, you know, I was trying to look for a local place to order from, so I tried Visual SD, which is a gallery and an art shop, and they are delivering to people. And then I'm not sure if Artist and Craftsman is delivering, but places like Jerry's Artorama usually has free shipping over $50, and you know, a pad of watercolor paper is $30 anyway, 30, $40. So that pretty much covers that if you buy a couple pads of watercolor paper, you know, whatever you need. So find these beautiful cutout shapes of shadows going underneath the arms. So I'll type that out for you guys. Jerry's Artorama. Where'd my chat box go? Oh, there it is. Jerry's Artorama is cheap and awesome. I don't think I spelled Artorama. I think 2 R's. Well, otherwise, you know, there's Blick or Visual SD. And if you need like handmade canvases, there's a guy called Giant Canvas. And he makes any kind of canvas you want. And then Wonka Gallery is where you should get your framing done. That's all I got for that. Okay, so now let's let me sharpen my pencil a little bit because we're getting into some details here. Now you can sharpen your pencil. Now you can grip your pencil tight. Darn it, I keep breaking my... Well, that's weird. My pencil sharpener is different than it was. Okay, so if you look at this figure, there's sort of a curve, a curve, a curve. All of her face is, because she's looking a bit down at you. It's a little bit of a curve. So those, I like to do the eyebrow line at that same kind of curve. Same with those eyes. You have to imagine the eye socket. It's going to be just a crescent, a crescent. So this was the eye socket, and then she had a, you know, and I think Proko was like, don't make almond shaped eyes, but I like to make the eye shape and then put the eyelid over the shape. Like the, in this case, like the makeup line. I love drawing women with makeup because I used to be a makeup artist. And then I just put a very slight little line for that. I think I got her eyes a little wide. Well, that's okay. I'm not going for exact likeness here. Picking up those brows a little bit. And the thing with faces is a lot of times I like to just use the eraser to get the highlight shapes. Where's my eraser? Okay, so the nose, you're gonna do a large triangle up to the eyebrows, okay? Like this. Then you're gonna do a small triangle like that, or trapezoid, so that you can see the bottom side of the underside of the nose. Now the nostrils are gonna live in there. You don't wanna overdo this. She'll look like a pig face like this. So then you have to erase all that gunk out, soften it up. With the nose, you wanna especially on women, you want to underdo it rather than overdo it. So that was just to show you what the concept is there. But what I'm gonna do is follow those lines of the triangle and just put that bit of shadow on the right side next to the eye. And then I'm gonna shadow in the underside of that triangle, like I showed you where it was, and you can see that little shape in the picture. Maybe let me zoom in just a little bit and focus for you guys. Let's see. Okay, so you can see that we're just doing that little bit of shadow on the side of the nose. She's got a little bit of shadow under the eye. There's a little bit of the crease of the eyelid. I'm overdoing it to show you guys, but then it's okay because then you're gonna go in with your eraser. Now these lips, there's a down turn to the lip. Well, not that much. And she's got a little bit of a secret smile. So when she has a secret smile, you just barely turn those creases up on the top. And then I'm gonna give her a little bit of a heart-shaped lip on the top. So 2 little humps. And she's got a perfect little half circle on the bottom there. Okay, so let me go find my eraser now. Looking kind of funny. So let me go back in and brighten some of this back up. Now you can do eyelashes. Now notice how much side of face you need to leave. It's okay if you have to cut into your hair a little bit. My head usually gets a little larger than I mean for it to. You know, all the problems you have in drawing are the same problems I have in drawing. That everybody has in drawing. That's why we have these same lessons over and over, because each time you just pick up a little bit more info. So she's got plenty of chin because of the angle she's at. So make sure you really give her plenty of chin. And this is where it becomes very sculptural, very much like push and pull. You know, you're going to add lights, you're going to add darks, you're going to add lights, you're going to add darks. That line is really in there. There we go. Paying attention to where the space is around the eyelid, how much air there is, this cheekbone around the eye shadow, down the side of the face, and then how much chin. It's very wide. She has a wide jaw. Okay. And those dark shapes can come in and help you hide and build those shapes in that you want. Then start looking at those hair shapes. You can darken it all and then erase back out the highlights. Or you can find the dark shape shadows just like we've been doing. She needs a little line on this side of her nose as well. The eyelid, the turn of the eye. There's a bit of a line of shadow underneath the eye. You can put a little line out for the eyelashes if you want to. She has her cat eye liner like I do. You know, I'm very serious about my eyeliner. We used to draw like the blank faces and then we would draw the makeup on the faces. I loved that. On the paper, I mean. Okay. Just working your way around. Oh, look, there is that an ear or is that just a bit of light over here? This is probably, I don't know if you can find this book. This is Loomis original 1923 figure drawing. Loomis is I like to, Proco uses Loomis. So I take Proco's lessons, which he, you know, has his ideas, and then I expand upon his ideas with my ideas. But this is, yeah, we're going to use this book a lot. A lot of the printouts that I hand you in class, well, pretty much all of them are from this book. So you have some of the handouts. You have some of these handouts, I believe. Yeah. Okay, back to business. Let's see here. Chat box is in my way. Okay, so now I'm going to fix this around the shoulder. I'm going to find those darks in the hair, maybe leave that light out for the ear or whatever the heck this is over here, but also because that light kind of goes into the cheek, which is nice. So if you're ambidextrous, you're lucky because you can erase and draw at the same time, but my left hand is just kind of useless. I know, I'm sorry, poor little guy. Really, the right hand really carries the weight in this side of the family. I don't know, the left hand just, it's stronger, I guess, but I cannot use both hands. And I've broken this hand twice. I broke right here playing Frisbee in high school, and then I broke you can see this finger's kind of crooked because I actually caught it on a railing, and this finger went that way, and the rest of my hand went the other way. It got caught like this, like that, and came off, and you know, went that way, falling down the stairs. That was horrible. And then I also, did I break my arm? Oh no, I broke my leg, my right side. The poor right side has really gotten it. Okay, so now, yeah, I'm starting to like this. You can add those flowers in the background if you want. That's extra credit for at home. After this, continue the drawing at home. Now, let's see. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to add the tonal scale. And let's see, I always make you do 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tones in there. Man, loud ambulances every day, all day lately, driving by. So if you can hear that, there's a hospital just close. There must be a hospital close. All right, just finding these little details now. You can put the sheet in. You can see that he's dealt with the sheet as just 2 tone, 3 tones of layers of shadows coming in. You can add decorative elements. I like to see where he adds some thick and thin lines. So when now that I'm sure where things are on my page, now I can really take some, make some really exciting, maybe thicker, thin marks, trying to get kind of like, I don't know, he's got some beautiful line quality going in here, and I don't. So I'm trying to get that in now. But yeah, Loomis is a great, he made one of the first like foundational figure drawing books because he felt like there was a need, and it's really become to me, one of the best methods, but definitely not the only method. So that's why I like to use a variety of things and, you know, use them as a jumping off point, but then also do my own thing and show you how I do it. So what am I missing? Shadow. Another layer of shadows, probably. Oh. What's missing on yours? Is anybody having trouble with anything in particular that I should go over. You can chat into the chat box. I also am not opposed to, I draw upside down sometimes, and I draw, it's okay to, it's actually a great idea when you're drawing from the figure to even go so far as to do something like this. Now, how am I looking? Seeing it upside down and looking at your drawing in the mirror. I can take a picture of this, you guys, and I will send it to you. I didn't realize, I got off track from what I was gonna do because this became so much fun and useful. But I will send you this image. I'll take a good picture of it and send it to you so that you can finish your drawing at home. So is there anything else that anyone wants me to go over with this figure? Call it done, call it a good job. Pretty great, right? Okay, so let me show you, or you know what I'll do? I'm gonna send you a picture of this, and I'm also gonna send you the comment link so that you can upload your finished drawing to the comment page. But that was really fun, and you guys are awesome. So we're gonna do it again tomorrow for landscape and watercolor, different stuff. So join me for those, and if you have any questions, send them in. Post them on the comment page. Thanks, guys. Let's see. I don't know how to, oh, there we go. Bye. Have a good day. Oh, here's a chat. You're welcome. You guys are awesome. Have a great day.